Today we'll be talking about automotive headlights. So what you typically will end up finding when you're going to end up purchasing your headlights is a bulb similar to this. They come in all different shapes, sizes, plugs. Some are plastic, some are metal, but they all serve the same function. It's kind of like food. We all got to eat, and sometimes we all got to see, especially while driving at night. So, what you see here is referred to as a standard baseline halogen style light bulb. And as you can see within inside of it, it has a metal wire, a filament, it has halogen gas filled with inside of it. It has a little bit of silver paint on the tip of it, that way so the light can refract off the light housing. Typically there's a reflective material inside of it, and that will enable it to be able to project the light better down the road. So from the standard halogen bulb, we end up getting into what is referred to as HIDs, or high intensity discharge light bulbs. And as you can see, they're a little bit more complex. They have more electronics to them. They have what's referred to as a HID ballast, and this pretty much upscales incoming 12 volt. And within being able to do that, it's able to produce a higher intensity of light through the filament. And as well, there's different gases filled into this, as xenon gas versus just a standard halogen gas that would be in the traditional bulb like this. Following from there, you'll get into another category, which you'll see commonly on the newer cars. And if you've been driving for long enough, you'll really hate these ones, because these are the ones that blind you and you can't end up seeing. If you've ever seen someone record a video and the phone seems like it's strobing because of the light, LEDs, that is pretty much what it does, is it pulses and emits small bursts of light, and by doing that it's able to conserve energy. But within contrast to that, it's not good for the human eye or overall health. They do emit certain forms of wavelengths of radiation, and it is damaging to the retina of the eye. So I try to avoid most LED things if possible. They are amazing, they have great applications, but when it comes to on the road, I wouldn't recommend it. So, let's say your headlight went out on your vehicle. You need to go purchase one of these items. So, if you have a higher end vehicle, let's say like a Cadillac or certain types of trucks, or obviously higher end vehicles, you will typically have these HID headlights. These will typically run you about 100 to almost $200 per light. Sometimes it can be more, sometimes it can be less. A traditional light bulb like this will end up running you anywhere from $10 to $50, again varying on application. These LED kits, some auto parts stores do end up selling them, but you're going to be looking at a roughly similar price margin to the HIDs. I see kits anywhere between 50 all the way up to $200 or more, again varying. I would recommend always just going with a standard bulb, but if you've ever gone into the auto store, you're going to say, well, there's several different packaging. What should I get? Should I get this color packaging that's another $10, $20? Or should I get this color packaging that says it does this and shows a little icon of a higher beamed light going down a road? Or should I get this one? So all of this, if you look in the lower right corner of these packagings, you'll notice there's a little bit of information there. That will be on the wattage output and input of these light bulbs. Traditionally, they're going to be set at one proximity. You're obviously going to have your 12 volt incoming current, and then from there, the wattage can vary. That isn't the only depending factor on the brightness, the contrast. A lot of it does come down to the raw materials of the actual filament. And again, as you can probably notice within some of these, they'll end up adding coatings to it to give them a hue to pretty much imitate lights. What do I end up meaning by that? So within this slide here, you will end up seeing What actually varies the headlights on the wattage is the heat intensity of the headlight. So it will give you different spectrums and colors, as illustrated here with inside these photos. You can see here at the 3000 range, we will have more of a red or a yellow or orange color, and about halfway, 6,000 will have more of a white, and anything past that between the 6,000 and 10,000 will have a blue that gradiates there into purple. Um, Typically, most vehicles are around the 4,000 to 6,000 range, and then most of the aftermarket applications that you'll see on people's vehicles will be maybe above the 6,000 range. Whatever preference that you end up having, the human eye sees within a blue spectrum of light. So take that to vary on the application. Preferably, it's best right around that 5-6,000 K mark, right as natural sunlight is. So, what is the benefits? What is the downsides? What are you trying to achieve here? So, you're going to be looking for brightness of the light, longevity of the light itself, the ease of application and maintenance, and then as well, the color spectrum that if you have as a preference for the light itself. So within this illustration, you'll be able to end up seeing things that I have mentioned previously: the voltage, the brightness, the amount of lumens, which is the amount of brightness that is perceived and measured. Then you have a rough lifespan. Most light bulbs will vary. You never want to touch the glass part. You don't ever want to get any grease on it. Obviously, you want to avoid any water being within inside the housing, and you want to avoid excess vibration if you're going over a lot of bumps, or if you have a suspension component or a bad balanced wheel or a rotor that's warped. You don't want to be transmitting a lot of that, because it will end up over time wearing down the metal filament and causing it to break prematurely. The other specification, the wattage, as I mentioned, typically it's a standard set value. That does contribute to the brightness and the output of the light itself, but that is not the only value or factor. And then you can see the color temperature range. This one approximately is at 5,000, so it will give you a roughly a white range color with maybe a little bit of a blue hue, and especially because this one has a blue tint coating that has been put over it. Back in the day, if you wanted green, yellow, red lights for Christmas, whatever, this is how a lot of the Christmas lights and other lights were uh, made back in the day. Most connectors are real simple. You'll either have a plug-in connector like this, or you'll have a spade connector like this. It'll be either 2 pins or 2 prongs. Sometimes you may end up having 3. Again, it's very simple. It's just like electrical outlets. You'll have a power, a ground, and you may have a neutral or a negative. Sometimes the headlights will be grounded on the actual headlight housing itself. Typically, Volkswagens are like that. So, just to give you another explanation, when you're going to the store and you're looking, they ask you, do you need high or low beams? So, you can end up seeing here your low beams is what you typically drive around town with at nighttime. And then during the conditions where you need additional lighting, you will flip the turn signal stock and have high beam lights. So, what are some of the other downsides besides the price to these lights? So, a standard halogen light, it will be bright, it'll serve its application, and if you're wanting a little bit more, the HIDs will substantially be able to increase or improve that, probably around a 50% range. It really also depends on how the headlights are projected and if they're aligned correctly. If the headlight's facing too far down, you won't see very well. If it's facing too high up, you're just going to blind everyone. So it's a measure to get those things in order correctly. The HIDs, they do last quite a long time, actually longer than the standard halogens, just because the design and composition of them. The LEDs, you run into variable problems. They are a lot more sensitive to any type of moisture, contamination, and as well, similar to the HIDs, they have these what are referred to as ballast. So they convert the 12 volt and then they'll upscale it or downscale it. Some of these LEDs are typically 5 volt, and then they have to spread it out over however many diodes are inside of it. So those ballasts, they'll go out typically within a year, 3 years, I see. And or if they do start to fail, you'll either have one or two lights that'll stop working or other problems. Another factor to consider with HIDs and LEDs is problems with burnouts on the lights themselves, potential fire hazards or melting the light housing if they're made out of acrylic or plastic. The lights can end up dimming and fading over a duration of time. And again, there can be errors where the light may not get enough power and it will, again, dim or give you different spectrums of lights and cause other problems. And if they end up failing, if you have to go to the auto store to get them, you may be out of luck or you may be spending over $100 just to get one or two headlights for the vehicle, which isn't necessary. So hopefully this explanation has wrapped it up and summarized it. Again, traditionally when you're going out to the store, I would just recommend get whatever inside your price range to fix the repair and application for the light. Most of them will last a similar lifetime and duration. They do have small benefits and gains. I personally would end up avoiding any of the LEDs. If you can, I would avoid the HIDs just simply due to the cost of them. And again, just a standard halogen light is probably going to be the best option overall. I do like the HIDs, but again, the LEDs, I try to avoid them personally. So hopefully this helps you, and hopefully this has given you some knowledge. If I missed anything, or if you have any other questions, or would like to see videos on any other automotive or engineering or technical or applications, feel free to let me know. I appreciate it. Take care and have a good day.